This week, Marjorie Taylor Greene backed down to Dr. Dre. Merrick Garland appointed a special counsel to investigate President Biden's classified documents, and Republicans freaked out over purple M&Ms and gas stoves. I'm Gabe Sanchez, and welcome to What Was That Weekend Roundup. Fresh off Kevin McCarthy's narrow House Speaker win that took 15 rounds, Marjorie Taylor Greene released a cringy promo video of her prancing throughout the Capitol with Dr. Dre's hit song Still Dre playing in the background. The tweet read, "It's time to begin, and they can't stop what's coming." Well, they can, and they did, specifically Dr. Dre's lawyers, when they served her with a savage cease and desist, stating that she was wrongfully exploiting Dr. Dre's work through various social media outlets to promote her divisive and hateful political agenda. And as a result, Elon Musk's Twitter locked her out of her account, and then she folded like a cheap lawn chair to Dr. Dre's demand. Looks like Marjorie Taylor Greene forgot about Dre. Another representative who can't seem to stay away from controversy is newly elected fraud George Santos. Whether it's lying about his grandparents surviving the Holocaust, or claiming to be the star player of a volleyball team at a college he never attended, or getting money from an Italian national who appears to have made his fortune by smuggling undocumented migrants into the United States, George Santos, or whatever his name is in deep shit as local and federal investigators start probing into his life. Santos went on Steve Bannon's War Room podcast, where Matt Gaetz was subbing in as host because
Stephen K. Bannon is on assignment.
Actually, no. Steve Bannon was in court on charges of defrauding gullible Republicans for his We Build the Wall scam.
You're lying! Big lie! That's all you have for everyone is a big lie!
So during the show, George Santos was asked where his money came from, and he gave a weird non-answer.
One of the principal critiques I've heard is that a lot of money was donated to your campaign by you, $700,000, I believe. Where did it come from?
Well, I'll tell you where it didn't come from. It didn't come from China, Ukraine, or Burisma. How about that?
Well, yeah, that is an answer.
And then laughably in the same breath, Santos said,
I've lived an honest life. I've never been accused, sued of any bad doing.
And like George Santos, House Republicans made sure to put their worst foot forward to start the 118th Congress. Remember Thomas Massie, the guy who shared a Christmas photo of his family posing with guns just days after a deadly school shooting? Well, here he is speaking about the Republican Party's new committee to obstruct justice and then getting owned by Jim McGovern.
I implore my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to populate this committee with serious Democrats.
Just say in response to the gentleman who said that he hopes that we populate this select committee with serious Democrats, that he populates the committee with Republicans who did not ask for a pardon, who did not have their phones seized by the FBI.
But Republicans took it beyond the topic of committees. Kevin McCarthy said he was willing to look at expunging a Trump impeachment. And not only that, but House Republicans voted against the American people. Again, the so-called fiscal conservatives tried to help their wealthy friends and donors with a massive tax cut by voting to rescind $80 billion from the IRS, which, ironically, would have added $114 billion to the national deficit. And just to cut through the Republican Party's BS, the $80 billion is a 10-year investment that includes customer service, technology, audits on the wealthy, offshore tax evasion, criminal investigations, and hiring 87,000 IRS agents to replace those that are retiring over the next 10 years. I hope that we can all agree that a school teacher should not be paying more in federal taxes than Trump or a billion-dollar corporation. House Republicans also started pushing their anti-abortion agenda with 2 new bills that would attack women's rights, even though Republicans originally said this was a states' rights issue. I mean, you'd think after their lackluster performance during the midterms, Republicans would have just aborted this strategy. And President Biden had something to say about their recent legislative moves.
Is this how House Republicans are starting a new term? Cutting taxes for billionaires? Raising taxes for working families? Making inflation worse? Well, let me be very clear. If any of these bills make it to my desk, I will veto them. I will flat veto them. I'm ready to work with Republicans, not this kind of stuff.
Speaking of President Biden, his personal lawyers discovered classified documents from his time as vice president. Some were found in a storage closet at the University of Pennsylvania's Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement, while others were found inside the president's garage and an adjacent room at his Delaware home. Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed Robert Hur as special counsel. Now, there are major differences between these two documents' cases, specifically how Trump and Biden responded. Trump and his lawyers lied, hid, moved, and refused to turn over hundreds of documents for a year and a half. And when Trump was previously asked to justify why he had them, He claimed,
You can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it.
Meanwhile, President Biden and his lawyers alerted the agencies and have cooperated fully by turning over the documents immediately. Something you have never heard from Trump. Now, I personally believe Garland should have chosen a different counsel who is not from Trump's toxic DOJ, but here we are. And even though Robert Hur was from Trump's DOJ, it exposed Republicans as hypocrites that would always be unhappy with whoever was chosen as special counsel.
He appoints the right-hand man to FBI Director Christopher Wray. That's hardly the same kind of special counsel that Donald Trump is facing.
There is a blatant false equivalency that the Republican Party is trying to put over on the American people. In simple terms, if Trump had just done what President Biden did and returned the documents to NARA right away, there would be no issue. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Karl Rove went on to Fox News and destroyed the Republican Party's lame narrative.
But there are differences. For example, how many documents? In Biden's case, there appear to be about 10. In the case of President Trump, hundreds. How did they get there? We don't yet know how the documents got to the Biden office connected with his activities on behalf of the University of Pennsylvania. We know that President Trump ordered the removal of the documents to Mar-a-Lago. How responsive were they when the Biden people found out about it? They immediately called the appropriate authorities and turned them over. We spent a year and a half watching the drama unfold in Mar-a-Lago, and it had to end in a police search to recover the documents.
Which then caused Trump to go on to Truth Social to attack Karl Rove, complain about President Biden, and make derogatory remarks about Hunter Biden and Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao. But keeping with the theme of Fox News reporting fake outrage and distractions, Republicans were upset over a purple M&M that supports women and inclusivity. Go figure.
I mean, if this is what you need for validation, an M&M that is a color that you think is associated with feminism, then I'm worried about you. I think this is the kind of thing that makes China say, like, oh, good, keep focusing on that. Yeah. Keep focusing on giving people their own color M&Ms while we, take over all of the mineral deposits in the entire world.
But to Martha's point, but China's also pushing all this through TikTok.
Wait, what was that?
But to Martha's point, but China's also pushing all this through TikTok.
According to the tinfoil hat personalities at Fox News, female M&Ms are actually helping China. And like always, they are intentionally distracting their viewers from actual news by reporting on a 3-month-old candy announcement to cover up the Republican Party's inability and unwillingness to help Americans. For example, Republicans have found their new culture war, and it's with gas stoves. The Consumer Product Safety Commission was considering new regulations around gas stoves after a study found that gas stoves are responsible for 12.7% of U.S. childhood asthma cases. For a group that claims they want to save the children, Republicans got very protective of their gas stoves.
So naturally, they decided gas-powered stoves racist and have to go.
Which then triggered Republicans like Ted Cruz to tweet, "Come and take it." Though I'm pretty sure the Consumer Product Safety Commission doesn't extend to Cancun. Matt Gaetz also tried to act tough by tweeting a video of a stove and saying, "You'll have to pry it from my cold, dead hands." Look, I know logic is not the Republican Party's strong suit, but something tells me their hands would be hot, if not burnt, from clutching their stove. And as always, Jim Jordan felt like he had to chime in and give the dumbest response of all. Gods, guns, gas stoves. Maybe he's just trying to make up for his deleted tweet from last year that said, Kanye, Elon, Trump. Or maybe this is Jim Jordan attempting a shitty version of Live, Laugh, Love. Either way, Republicans truly take the weirdest and dumbest stances. And now, House Republicans have announced the Stove Act in order to ban anyone from banning gas stoves. Look, just like there aren't 87,000 IRS agents coming to kick down your front door, Biden is not coming to take your gas stove.
It's not going to happen.
And lastly, Trump was dealt some terrible news. Not only was the Trump Organization ordered to pay $1.61 million in fines for committing criminal tax fraud, but also a federal judge ordered the unsealing of portions of Trump's deranged and incriminating deposition transcript from the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit. In the deposition transcripts, Trump denied raping E. Jean Carroll, but also falsely claimed that she enjoyed being sexually assaulted. It is absolutely vile. At one point, Trump was asked the question, "Have you ever kissed a woman without her consent?" To which he responded by saying, "I don't think so." And just to refresh everyone's memory, here is Trump on the Access Hollywood bus admitting to sexually assaulting a woman.
I moved on her like a bitch. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
The orange pleatherface is nothing more than a sad and pathetic piece of trash who yells into a camera all alone, begging to be
your favorite president.
me.
So until next week, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That Weekend Roundup.